of all, I want to thank Fondia for inviting me to this event. I'm very, very happy and very honored to speak here. So, my name is Marianna. I'm representing company Creative Mobile that is just across the way 2 hours from here in Tallinn, Estonia. So, our company was founded in 2010, and we're focusing on developing Android games. Android is our primary platform since the first days of it. So I was invited here to speak about user acquisition, but actually it's just a part of the entire model that that includes not only the acquisition, but as well as the monetization and retention that leads the game to success. But speaking about the acquisition itself, so usually if you have enough of money and you have variety of networks to distribute your ads and to reach as many people as possible and to reach your target audience, then you can be successful in that. But we prefer to exclude one company from the equation. So in CM, we never paid for user acquisition, and we made it with help of viral mechanics that Yusuf just spoke about. So first of all, it is a word of mouth, the competition that makes people to share their gaming experience with others. So speaking about America, so we're, according to the statistics, people are playing at home, at work, in class, so we're always surrounded by other people and we want to share our gaming experience with them. So you see this family here. this is son and dad from Florida. These are fans of our game, and they really enjoy playing together. So first, the son started playing the game. He showed to his dad. Dad started playing and became quite a big fan of our game. So this family here, they are playing a drag racing game for over 2 years from now. So these guys here, they are using different phones. They are using different platforms even. So that is an iPhone and son is an Android, but they still enjoy playing together the same game. So people like to play with their friends, with their family, to cooperate for reaching something, to complete the achievements together. And my culture here will later speak about the distribution networks, because if you want to reach as many players as possible, you have to build a strategy to be everywhere, to be reachable for your customers on any device, any platform, anywhere in the world. Because if you want to share your gaming experience with your friend, and he's using another phone or another device, we have to give them an opportunity to play together. So our strategy in Creative Mobile is based basically on building this communication between our players, giving them opportunity to share their achievements, to share their gameplay. So we focus on multiplayer, so people can play with their friends in real time. Well, I think that this is the recipe of success that also shows us by Supercell with Clash of Clans. So playing online makes this viral reach bigger because you're motivated to invite your friends to play with them and to cooperate with them. So, and my colleague Artur here will give a short overview about the distribution and how to make this game content available for as many people as possible.
Hello guys. Sorry, my name wasn't on the list, but I bribed Marianna to give me some of her time to me. Hopefully that goes well. Yeah, as Marianna accurately mentioned, that we are striving to bring our games to most of the platforms as possible. That is a part of our strategy, because, like she said, that we do not do any user acquisition. That is true. You can believe that. I think there are a lot of companies who can give you like users on paying basis, and you can always reach them. But that is not the case with us, because our business model is slightly different. And I'm going to talk today about some distribution channels which we are using and how to arrange the system for it to work properly. So I'm going to hit 3 topics today. So what is distribution on mobile games in general? The fragmentation of the Android market as one of the biggest ones right now, and how to manage your distribution activity. So, all right, it's a little bit mixed up, but okay. So classic distribution, it was a series of things based from the manufacturer and how the end goods receive the end customer. And in the IT sector, in the mobile industry, game distribution goes much more easier. So you just need a couple of guys, or even one guy who can handle it all. I'm doing it right now. I need assistance. So, the biggest app retailers for mobile are platform holders themselves. Each of them possess an independent app store, and this is basically the biggest market for every platform. So I'm going to focus on Android because right now it covers more than 70% of the entire smartphone market. And unlike iOS and Windows Phone, it is very fragmented, as I mentioned before, and I'm going to go into more detail on this one. By the latest analytics insights, we have 36 independent app stores for Android platform only. This includes Google Play and also other huge alternate markets such as GetJar, SlideMe, and tons of others. So 18 where's the page? Yeah, so 18 independent market stores, and also some of the countries here, like China, Korea, and Russia, have their series of huge independent markets for various reasons. In China, Google Play is forbidden, which is why they have only these 9 channels, 9 big channels, but also like 1,000 local stores, which is kind of different to manage, difficult to manage. In Korea, Google Play is present, but there's the majority of the users acquire new content on Android through independent stores. Biggest of them is T-Store. It is from the South Korean's carrier, SK Telecom. And in Russia, recently Yandex Store was launched. Well, not recently, about a year ago. And currently Yandex is replacing Google as a primary search engine and tool and service provider in the country. So it has like more than 60% of the market share right now. In addition, there are also device manufacturing app stores. The biggest one of them is Amazon App Store, and also a heard of Barnes and Noble tablets. They have their own independent store as well. Also, Lenovo has its own, and Samsung. What I'm trying to say is that Google Play for Android is not the only option where developers can go, because back when Android started, Google Play was the only option, and when some of the alternate market stores started to appear, they accounted for like 20% of the market share, not more. Nowadays, we see that the biggest part of the Android market is like these all independent stores in general, which means that there is a huge market outside of the Google Play Store, and it needs to be acquired because you need to bring your content to all users who don't have Google Play or are not using it at the moment. there are various reasons for them, for users not using Google Play Store. For instance, one of the reasons is like in China, it's forbidden, so people don't have access to it. And with some device manufacturers, they just simply cannot obtain the license from Google. So Google says like, I don't like your devices, so you can go along without Google Play on them, and you can design your own stores. And they say like, okay, we're gonna do it. They open up their own app stores, they offer their own ranking systems, promotions, they reach developers to acquire their content, which they have on Google Play, and bring it to their app stores, using their billing, of course, all their conditions which they want. And nowadays, as I mentioned, this is a very huge market share. It's like almost 2 times as bigger than the Google Play itself, and it's gonna continue growing. Because there's also one huge option that carriers are finally interested in opening up their own independent app stores. So they are striving to create this service that when a user buys a phone, that he's going to have all these services available to him. So he can choose right away his phone, what's going to be its specifications. He can also choose from a catalog of featured premium apps which the carriers recommend. And that's a different opportunity for users as well. For developers, yeah. They have like a lot of options with these independent carrier stores. Some of the guys, like Beeline in Russia here, they're trying to make their own app store, but they also went ahead and they enabled this feature that now you can fill your Google Wallet with direct carrier billing, which is a big deal. Because on Google Play there was an issue with payments, as we all know. That's basically 2 main reasons why monetization on Google Play is much lower than on iOS. It's because the users who possess Android devices are a bit lower in class, if you can say like that. They don't have that much income, and they're not willing to spend that much as iOS users. And the second reason is they don't simply possess purchasing tools like credit cards, which explains why they buy cheaper phones in most of the cases. With carrier billing, it's much easier. You don't need a credit card, you don't need nothing. You just make a purchase, and then the carrier is gonna send you an invoice. You're gonna pay it later. Yeah, so developers' opportunity is obvious. More and more of these stores appear each day, and you need to reach them out. You need to acquire users who spend time in those app stores. It also creates brand awareness when your game or app is visible in most of the channels where users spend time. He was checking this store at Google Play Store, and he saw, like, for instance, I don't know, Clash of Clans, and then he's going to the carrier app store and he sees Clash of Clans in the features section. He says like, wow, I remember this game, I see it everywhere. It creates brand awareness. It does. It's hard to measure, but it does. For developers also, there's a huge opportunity to experiment with emerging markets and try out new monetization tactics. And of course to try out new systems and technologies. What to consider from the marketing point of view. Make sure you need this and you have time for this. Well, you need to find out what is the platform's goal when it's being established. For instance, why Getjar was established. It was an independent community where hardcore gamers could download as many games as they wanted to, and maybe earn some points for downloading various games, and then they could spend those points later on. So each marketplace has its own goals, as every company does, and you need to consider those goals also before going live to that market. You need to find out some insights about this market, about how many apps it has, what the market size, the geographics of it, etc., etc., etc. And also, I'm not going to go through all the details because it's boring, I see. From a technical point of view, there is also, you need to know what kind of devices does this market support. Are these tablets or smartphones? Which kind? What are the capabilities? Are they low-end, high-end devices? Because it depends on which kind of content you can bring to those app stores. You need to find about SDKs, which is side tools for using multiple services like payment systems or analytics tools. You need to find out about all these things before going live to this market, because those QA guys are not gonna let your content pass unless you have all of these things integrated, like their payment systems and their analytics tools. And also find about other useful stuff. How to manage all this distribution activity? Well, you can choose from 1 of 3 options. So you can integrate multiple SDKs manually to each one of these of your apps. If you're a small company or an independent developer, then that's the most reasonable way to do it. You can build your own distribution platform, which is a big of a deal, actually. Or you can use some third-party tools, which might not gonna help you out in general, but they're gonna help you out a bit at least. They're gonna take some of the costs on their system. So let's go with the first one. So integrating an SDK is simple. You just take your app, you integrate the SDK, and there you have it. Wow, a native app with SDK. But it's all fun till that is one or a couple of SDKs. But then in the end, when you try to make this game available for every platform, you're gonna have so many SDKs that it's gonna look mostly like this. And believe me, that is something you don't want to do, because it increases the size of the application, which is a biggest concern, and it also gives your developers a lot of headaches about, I don't remember which was that for the T-Mobile assembly, or was it for the Verizon one version? I don't remember which one to switch on, which one to switch off. So if it runs in one project, it's very difficult. So this system, it is okay for a small amount of platforms. So if you have plans to go for 100 platforms or so, then this system will not do. Oops. Second one is to build your own distribution platform. But as always, it requires a lot of work to do, a lot of planning, a lot of processing, arguments, and it is very, very expensive. So in some cases, it might not work. But that's a good option to consider if you're a medium-sized company or approaching a big size. And the third option is you can use third-party tools to help you smoothen up your development. I know that Yandex recently released this service like OpenIAB, which is a library which enables in-app billing in biggest Android app stores, Google Play, Amazon App Store, Samsung Apps, T-Store, and Yandex Store. So they basically designed one single library to handle all billing processes for the developer. So you don't need to integrate different SDKs to your app to run on different platforms. You just need this one. So it kind of helps you out, but you still need to integrate a lot of different stuff into those game versions, which kind of still leaves you a lot of work to do. InMobi has their own wrapper. InMobi is actually an advertising company, but they have this project. It's called App Publish. So basically what it doesn't help you with the development, but it helps you with distribution. So you design a build, you upload it to this platform, and this platform shows you for which marketplaces this file is available. So it kind of helps you out in a small way. And also some of the aggregators like Zed and Fortuno, which is based also in Estonia. They are in-app billing providers for carriers, but they also have their own distribution programs running, which means that they can help you out free of charge. They can take your content with their payment system inserted, and they can help you distribute it across the world. And to conclude, well, I know it was a rough talk, but maybe you understood quite something from it. Well, you can try to find as many marketplaces as you can. Internet is open. This infographic I showed before showed 36 app stores. It's a start. You can check it out, and then you can go through the full list of Android app stores. You can evaluate their potential. You can calculate expenses and you need to make in order to reach those markets, and you can start acquiring new users. Well, that's it for my talk. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Sir, may I add a few words? So just to thank you, Artur, for a great presentation. So I want to say that Google Play is actually huge. It's not a secret. So we all know that there are over 800,000 apps out on Google Play. And users who are just getting a new phone, they go to Google Play Market, they want to download some games, download some apps, and they get completely lost in this endless lists of different applications. And these small stores, they are mostly focused on the number of apps that are already popular, that already have some reputation on the market. So for the developers, it is much easier to be visible on this, on these alternatives than Google Play. So it is a very cheap and simple way to get players and to build a brand.
Any questions? Yes.
So what kind of experience you have with, sorry, so what kind, so what kind of experience you have with the OpenIAB?
OpenIAB, we still have not used it. It's in the process of development, but it covers the work you need to do in order to prepare different game versions for the core markets, like Google Play. So you insert this one library into your game, and it covers the payment systems for multiple markets, such as Google Play, Amazon, Samsung Apps, T-Store, and Yandex Store. So they basically designed a library which has single billing configurations, and it helps you to enable billing on all of these 5 stores, as I mentioned. That's it. We didn't so far. It's in development on our side. We recently discovered it, but it's been in development from Yandex for like half a year, something like that. So far, I cannot share any experience because we don't have any yet. Yeah.
Artur, thank you for the presentation. One thing that struck me, and I want to dig in a little bit, was you mentioned in South Korea that SK Telecom is one of the biggest stores. Though I talked to a little bit to Kakao and see Kakao's slides, and they always talk about how they got like top 13 of the Korean Google Play games. So what are the comparative sizes of Google Play? Because it's clearly active in South Korea versus SK Telecom store.
Well, I hear a lot of different opinions on this one. Well, some of the stats tell us that Google Play has 40% market share in Korea. Other stats say more than 50, and pretty much don't know which to believe. But if you process the amount of app downloads which is running through SK Telecom, then you can clearly see that is the majority. There's like 55 million people living in Korea, and considering the amount of downloads and purchases which are being handled by SK Telecom, it's enormous. It's huge, and some of the biggest developers say that is true. You cannot always be sure, like 100%, but well, we can at least hope and see for other people's experience.
So comparison between Google Play and the local stores, revenue or downloads?
What's the difference?
No, what's the division like 2/3 and 1/3 revenue or download?
You mean what's the difference between revenues on Google Play
And the local
and the
stores?
local stores? Well, it depends on the local place, but the conditions are pretty much the same. So they do allow you 30 to 70% revenue share, depending on the country, of course, on other conditions. Because most of the stores have this 30 to 70% revenue share, and pretty much doesn't change from country to country. But when it comes to carrier billing, then the conditions are not that promising because carriers are greedy, and sometimes they take more than half of your revenue just for using their billing system. And that is sad, but still, 30 or 40% of something is better than 100% of nothing, which is why you still keep using these options.
And I assume that your games, you are using many of those stores.
Yes,
Talking
we're
about those. So how have you seen what is the for you how much revenue
for us? Well, we're using mostly things I referred to here. Yeah, so we're using Fortimo as our payment provider, and we're also using them as our distribution partner. So we have a lot of stores, carrier stores, which they are covering. Currently, we're in the position of entering U.S. carrier stores, which is a big deal. Well, cannot say pretty much. Well,
but can you say, are you seeing more revenue from?
Yes, we are seeing more revenue than before. Yeah, because our Google checkout numbers did not change, but we are seeing additional revenue coming from this provider, which means that the downloads are there and the transactions are coming.
But it's not yet bigger than the Google Play.
For us, no. For us, it accounts less than 20%, because we're still in the position of entering majority of these markets. It takes time. We've been doing this for less than 2 years, and there's a lot of ground to cover, as you understand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Don't the people in China actually have access to Google Play, but the billing just doesn't work there?
Well, from my point of view, I always knew this information that the Google Play wasn't accessible there at all. But if it still is accessible, but there is no way to conduct payments there, then there is pretty much no sense in entering that market, unless of course you have like goals to make like free games, create brand awareness, or something else. Well, as far as I know, to my knowledge, it is not accessible there.
Okay, I'm going to check that. Thank you.
Yeah, right, thanks.
Thanks for the presentation. How about the security? Do you handle that by yourself, or does the SDKs help on that?
Security
Transactions,
yes.
leaderboard, hacking, that kind of stuff.
Well, we have our own custom leaderboards, so their security depends totally on our service. But when it comes to payment security, then it is being handled by the payment provider. Otherwise, we would not use it. We're using secure systems, of course, only secure systems, and well, pretty much that's it. Well, I guess that's it for the question. Thank you.